What if I told you that the Indiana Fever's rise to an 18-14 record and a Commissioner's Cup championship was not luck? Not coincidence? Not just Caitlin Clark's arrival? What if I told you it was part of a master plan meticulously crafted, phase by phase, years in the making? This is not just the story of a single season. This is the story of a blueprint. A championship blueprint built around maximizing one of the most gifted players women's basketball has ever seen, Caitlin Clark. And if the Fever succeed in executing this strategy, it won't just change their future. It could redefine how every small-market WNBA team builds for the next decade. Every dynasty begins with a cornerstone. For the Fever, that cornerstone was Caitlin Clark. But here's the twist. Indiana didn't just stumble into Clark by winning the lottery. The front office had been studying her game for 2 years before the draft. Film study, analytics, scouting reports. They weren't just preparing to draft a superstar. They were preparing to build an ecosystem around her. Think about that. While other franchises chase stars and then scramble to fit pieces later, Indiana's strategy was premeditated. They asked, who thrives next to Clark? What kind of frontcourt anchor does she need? What type of guard complements her vision and range? And the answers shaped phase 1 of the blueprint. Pair Caitlin Clark with Aliyah Boston. Boston is not just a rising star. She's a foundational post presence, a defensive anchor, and a low-maintenance offensive weapon who doesn't need the ball every possession. Together, Clark and Boston form the yin and yang of modern WNBA basketball, the deep-range playmaker and the inside-out enforcer. That was phase 1. Secure the stars. Phase 2 was more subtle. Indiana knew that a roster of just young talent doesn't win championships. The league is too tough, the pressure too real, the playoffs too demanding. So the Fever went shopping, not for big numbers, but for big voices. Enter veterans like Natasha Howard, Dearest Dantas, and Sydney Colson. Look at their stat sheets and you might shrug. But look at their resumes and you see the real value, championship DNA. Natasha Howard isn't just another forward. She's a multiple-time WNBA champion. She brings defensive communication, switchability, and toughness that doesn't always show up in the box score. Sydney Colson? She might play limited minutes, but her locker room presence is invaluable. She is a cultural translator, bridging the gap between young stars and seasoned veterans. These veterans aren't just mentors. They are mentality shapers. They teach what the numbers don't show. How to stay composed when down 12 in a playoff game. How to manage possessions when the lights feel blinding. How to handle the grind of a championship chase. Indiana didn't sign them to pad stats. They signed them to build a culture. But the heart of this blueprint, the chess move that separates the Fever from everyone else, is the Caitlin Clark-Kelsey Mitchell pairing. On paper, you might think, 2 scoring guards, 2 ball-dominant players. Won't they clash? But here's the brilliance. The Fever front office identified this pairing years in advance. They studied Clark's game at Iowa. They saw how she thrived with guards who could score without disrupting her rhythm. They realized that Mitchell's skill set, off-ball shooting, speed, and non-competitive chemistry was the perfect complement. Instead of competing for touches, Clark and Mitchell enhance each other. Clark's deep range pulls defenses to half court. Mitchell slashes into the gaps left behind. When defenses load up on Clark, Mitchell punishes them. When Mitchell drives, Clark relocates for the dagger 3. This backcourt is not just good. It is unprecedented. And it's not by accident. It's by design. Now, let's talk about something that never shows up on highlight reels. Culture. Indiana's blueprint isn't just about stars and veterans. It's about creating an ecosystem. Take Sydney Colson again. Her minutes may be few, but her presence as a mentor, comedian, and culture carrier makes the locker room lighter, more cohesive, and more resilient. That matters. In pressure moments, when younger players could fracture, culture keeps them whole. When media narratives swirl, culture provides clarity. When losses stack up, culture fuels belief. This is why Indiana doesn't look like other rebuilding teams. They don't yo-yo between winning and losing. They grow steadily, sustainably, because culture is their secret weapon. Here's the genius part of the Fever's blueprint: redundancy. Every veteran signed has a shadow, a younger player learning behind them, waiting for their turn. When Natasha Howard eventually slows down, a developed young forward will step in. When Colson hangs up her sneakers, another cultural leader will emerge. This system prevents the endless rebuild cycle that plagues so many small market teams. Instead of collapsing when stars leave, the Fever planned to transition smoothly. It's sustainability through foresight. It's dynasty building in slow motion. Most WNBA franchises believe you have to choose. Win now with veterans, or rebuild slowly with youth. The Fever said, why not both? By blending youth with championship experience, they built a hybrid team capable of competing today and dominating tomorrow. This challenges the very foundation of WNBA roster construction. It tells every small market franchise, you don't have to settle. You don't have to wait. You don't have to chase star power in desperation. You can build smart. You can build sustainable. You can build a dynasty even outside a big market. And here's where things get fascinating. League insiders are watching. Free agents are noticing. Small market GMs are taking notes. The Fever's blueprint is already becoming a case study. How do you maximize a generational star without burning out her prime? How do you blend youth and veterans into a cohesive whole? How do you create culture, chemistry, and continuity in a league where talent churn is constant? Indiana is answering those questions in real time. And if they keep winning, the rest of the league will follow. Let's be clear. This is not emotion. This is not fan-driven hype. This is organizational intelligence. Every Fever move has been calculated. Every signing, deliberate. Every fit, intentional. They didn't chase names. They chased roles. They didn't react to headlines. They reacted to film study. And now, they're reaping the rewards. This is how dynasties begin. Not with lucky breaks, but with systematic planning. So, what does the future hold? If the Fever stick to this blueprint, they won't just be contenders. They will be the gold standard of WNBA roster construction. Other small markets will copy them. Other front offices will study them. And Caitlin Clark's prime will not be wasted chasing relevance. It will be maximized in pursuit of championships. Because the Fever aren't just building a team, they're building an era. The Indiana Fever's rise is not an accident. It is the product of vision, patience, and strategy. A generational star in Caitlin Clark, a perfect partner in Aliyah Boston, a hand-picked backcourt in Kelsey Mitchell, veteran leaders shaping culture, young players developing behind the scenes. This is more than a roster. This is a blueprint that could define not just Indiana's next decade, but the entire future of the WNBA. And when the history of this era is written, it won't just be about Caitlin Clark's brilliance. It will be about the organizational intelligence that turned brilliance into a dynasty. So the question is, are we witnessing the birth of the next great WNBA dynasty? Or will other teams catch up before the Fever's blueprint reaches its full power? One thing is certain, the Indiana Fever aren't just winning games. They're rewriting the rules of how championships are built.